first observe that all these options are arranged in a tabular format. There are same set of options, the attempt, whether correct, points, specific feedback, general feedback, and so on. Exactly the same sequence of options are available in 4 different columns. The first column is during the attempt, immediately after the attempt is the second column, the third is while the quiz is still open, and the fourth is after the quiz is closed. Clicking or unclicking any one of these options helps determine whether one of these quiz reviews would be displayed either during the attempt or immediately after the attempt while the quiz is still open, which means that the attempt is over but the quiz is open for all the students to access. After the quiz is closed, that means the quiz cannot be accessed anymore. The quiz module is no more accessible to students, and so the quiz is closed. So these are the different time periods during which these different options would be visible to the students. So here the first option is the attempt, which means reviewing the attempt. The second option is whether correct, which means that the student can see whether the answer to the question submitted is correct or not. The third option is points. It shows the student the score that he or she has obtained on a submitted answer. You can also give a specific feedback to a particular answer that has been given by the student. General feedback is an overall response to the student's attempt of the question, irrespective of whether the answer was correct, incorrect, partially correct, or whatever. So a lot of times instructors illustrate the solution to a question in the general feedback. The next option is right answer. This option would allow for the student to view the correct answer, the solution, the method to solving the question. Oftentimes, general feedback and right answers can be interchanged, and it would not make much difference. The next option is overall feedback. We will be reviewing overall feedback this particular tab, and we will be dealing with that in the next video. In the immediate feedback option, the student would be submitting answers to a question one by one, and after each submission of answer to a question, he or she would be able to see the points, specific feedback, general feedback, and the right answer. You can uncheck any one of those if you wish to do so, but I'm going to just leave it at that. So we have looked at the difference between deferred feedback and immediate feedback. However, we also need to review the adaptive mode. What the adaptive mode does is that it allows the students to have multiple attempts at a given question, and in each of these different attempts the student could be graded differently. For example, you might give a 100% score for a correct answer on the first attempt and maybe a lesser score with some penalty when the student answers the question on the second attempt or the third attempt, and so on. When you're using the adaptive mode, make sure that this option right here, whether correct, is selected in the during the attempt column. So adaptive mode works only if this particular option is selected. And here adaptive mode with no penalties, which means that there would be no penalty on points even if the correct answer has been obtained on the second or the third attempt. But if you do want penalties, you could use this option rather than this one. And the last one here at the bottom is the interactive mode, which means that for every attempt and say probably a wrong answer or a correct answer, you could interact with the student and give hints or probably give a partial solution so as to help the student get the correct answer. The most commonly used is deferred feedback, and that is the default option usually selected. However, there are a couple of other options that we have not looked at, and these are deferred feedback with CBM and immediate feedback with CBM. So what CBM means is certainty based marking. So it is actually an innovative method of improving honesty when students attempt multiple choice questions. So along with the answer, the students are also asked to mark how sure they are of the answer. The points are then adjusted for honesty. A correct answer with maximum surety will incur more points, whereas a correct answer with less surety will incur less points. In a similar way, a wrong answer with less surety will incur less penalty, but a wrong answer with maximum surety, which means that the answer is wrong but you state that yes, I know the answer for sure, and that will incur maximum penalty. These are the different question behavior options that we have. I'm just going to leave it at deferred feedback at the moment. The next option here is allow redo within an attempt. This option is not activated at the moment because we have selected deferred feedback, so there is no way the student would be able to know whether she or he has attempted the question correctly or wrongly, because the feedback is going to be shown to the student only after the attempt is completed. However, if you select immediate feedback or say interactive feedback, this option gets activated and the student is allowed to redo another version of any finished question. So that this option can be selected only in these two modes. However, we're going to just go back to deferred feedback mode, which is again the default. And the last option here is each attempt builds on the last. What that means is that currently it is set to no. However, you could also set it to yes. And what that would mean is that if the students are allowed multiple attempts at a quiz, all the answers that the student submitted in the first attempt will be visible to the student in the second attempt, if this option is put to yes. However, again, I'm just not going to fiddle around much. Let's put it to the default setting, which is no. And let us now move on to a different set of options.